Yeah, it was quite strange. The exhaustion just seemed to vanish. It evaporated. I don't know where it went, but it was like, yeah, we can do this, and this is going to be great.
And so I pull up to the swim grid, and there's Dave with a big grin.
Well, this is a great part of the voyage because I got my mate Scotty with me. We got the boat full of fuel. We fixed a few mechanicals. We still got the trim issue to deal with, and we're on our way.
Just leaving our last Canadian port of Polituck. Boy, I can tell you there's some very, very tricky places to get into in the Arctic, and Polituck's one of them. This will be our last time in Canadian waters again. We're going to be heading to a place called Barrow Island in the United States, where we'll clear customs, pick up some fuel, be on our way through the Beaufort Sea and into the Bering Sea. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. We're blasting along at 40 knots in the Beaufort Sea. Life doesn't get any better.
But the whole time I'd been studying the weather patterns, and I knew that we were in big trouble as far as the weather. We're talking late September here. Pinwheels are starting to come into the Gulf of Alaska. The whole Pacific weather system's getting stirred up. Summer's over and the good weather's over. That started to become a concern. My logistics person, Daniel Weisgerber, who's my general manager, was arranging the fuel stops now. And so he says, there's whale season. Whale season is the Christmas holidays of those people. It's a time for celebration, the time to go get food. It's very, very important. They don't want interference from outsiders, and they don't want anybody there in Zodiacs that's looking like Greenpeace. The chief comes up from behind us in a quad. So hello, how are you? I'm inviting you over to my house. Everyone is invited. We would like you to come. And we're like, really? We were greeted by one of the most wonderful scenes. And again, another memorable part of the trip is having this whale feast.
They all come with bags and boxes to take meals home, so that was interesting. It was almost like a buffet line, people taking food, not bringing things. Yeah, it's not like going into any dinner that anyone around here's ever hosted, but when they prepare it for you and they're waiting for your response, and so you're putting that in your mouth and trying to keep a smile on your face, it's not easy.
That meat is just boiled. You can have it other ways too, yeah.
Really? It's tender? Seeing how important it was to them was really interesting. One lady's comments was, she said directly to me, we cannot live on chicken up here. We need the fat in these whales. This is so important to our community. And the way it was allotted, each member of the village was given a certain amount.
But even Alaska Fish and Games, she said, you people have been where nobody has been before. We've just come from a whale feast, and I am so deeply moved right now. Whaling is very important to them on a social level, on an economic level, and most of all in a community and spirit level. I've never really witnessed anything like this ever, and I certainly hope that these people get the opportunity to keep on with their tradition of doing these whale hunts. Whale feast or not, we've got to get out of town. Weather is closing in.
At least it's not foggy.
We're dragging the dinghy across the shore, and wouldn't you know it, we put a hole in it. The dinghy's a major lifeline. We've got to get it fixed.
Fortunately,
Wherever you go, there's good people to help you out. And I got this nice dry shop. And we're gonna teach ourselves how to fix Zodiacs. I find some glue, and this is the old glue. This is not the new types of non-toxic glue. This is a very, very, very toxic type of glue. And we fixed the boat. Man, this glue is some heavy shit, I'm telling you. Ooh. Hey man, what's happening, baby? We're just gonna get in this boat and we're gonna drive it all the way along the North Slope and through the Aleutians, and we're gonna be home in 3 or 4 days. That was the plan, and that was very, very doable. But we had to get out of there. It was looking very, very, very bad. And it was looking worse and worse and worse. The wind is coming up, and these huge blocks of ice are slamming themselves together. We have nowhere to go. We've blown our window. We just gotta keep going. That's our only salvation. We need to really get the heck out of the Northwest Passage. We need to get around Alaska. We need to get home.
I thought we were gonna get to Barrow tonight, but it's not looking very good. We hit a solid wall of ice along the North Slope, and darkness is coming, and we're just trying to find our way around and see if we can find a hole to get through this big ice floe. Normally you can pick your way through, but this ice is all compacted together and it's just one solid mass. And if we go inside of it, we're likely to get stuck in there.
So we decide, rather than go straight, that we're gonna take a 6-hour detour. So we're an hour and a half from having warm showers and being in Barrow. We're gonna make a 6-hour detour in the middle of the night. It's dark and it's foggy again, and we can go no faster than we would like to go if we slammed into a chunk of ice, because we can't see them. The waves are so big, we can't discern ice from sea clutter. We toughed it out through the night. The morning seemed to take forever. And finally, when daylight came, all to the left side of the boat, where we would have been traveling, was the tattletale signs of a solid, solid, solid ice wall. That for sure, if we'd have gone into that at night, it would have been a totally different story.
What a day.
What a day.
Well, this is a momentous occasion. We're finally putting the compass needles somewhat south. This is the furthest north we're going to be, Point Barrow.
So we leave the most northern city of the United States, headed for the Aleutians.
Bering Sea's next. We're going to put the throttles down here and head her south. We're floating around in the Bering Sea. Got some chicken pad thai. Got some spring rolls, we got some rice and stuff like that here. And we're just chowing down before we head down and do the rest of the Bering Sea. Someone's going down. Who ordered extra spicy?
In the middle of the night, we get a radar target on one side, the American side. We get a radar target approaching from the other side. It's the Russian side, and they're vectoring in towards us. Oh, well, we don't want to talk to either one of these parties, and we don't know what they are. So I slam the throttles forward, and the two targets converge behind us, and then you can tell they're trying to make a run at us, and we've got their speeds clocked at 30 knots to 50 knots. These are fast boats.
Our speed right now is 50 miles an hour. And it feels much, much faster.
Well, friend or foe, we had to get out of there I turned to Scotty and I said, oh, everybody needs one of these. Every Navy in the world needs one of these. Because we were in relative comfort, just blasting along at 40, 50 knots through the night. It was quite a surreal feeling.
In this narrow pass, we get off course. We're going to be spending the winter in the Gulag.
Daylight comes, and our first fuel stop is Nome. And Nome is just to be intended as a gas and go. So we checked in with US Customs there. And that was a great feeling. Where did you leave Canada? St. John's. St. John's where? St. John's, Newfoundland, sir. St. John's, Newfoundland? Now the weather's starting to come in. And it's starting to blow more and more and more. And so Scotty and I discussed it. I said, what are we going to do? Right? If this gets worse, we're done. But I got behind the wheel and I just said, Scotty, we're going to do this thing. We need to average 21 knots.
That's a planing speed for that boat in those heavy seas. Almost impossible. It's pretty much a suicide run. Basically, that means we have to keep the boat on top of every wave. We cannot drop down inside.
And man, we put those throttles down, and that boat was leaping through the ocean like you would not believe.
Dave had to be so focused at the helm that there was no chance he could look down, look away. He had to watch the rhythm, and I would just call Dave the course corrections.
And we just slammed and pounded our way and just clawed our way there. And we made it into False Pass just as the next storm was hitting. So we get to the bay at False Pass, and we're tired, and we've broken a part of the suspension. And I decide that we're just going to anchor and stop. Well, again, this was not a very, very popular decision with my crew because we were an hour and a half away from a bed. And I know the boat sucks. You can't sleep on it. It's got bucket seats in it. So we got what sleep we could. And then the next day in the daylight, we navigated our way into False Pass. It would have been suicide to try and go through there in the dark. In our condition, it would not have gone good. See, the one hand's bigger than the other hand? That's called a death grip on the steering wheel.
After seeing it in the daylight, that was absolutely the right choice, no question. We would have had a really hard time with the energy that we had and how fatigued we were trying to get in there that night.
All these misadventures were leading to adventure. They're getting us into wonderful places that, had we just had good weather, we wouldn't have had the whale feast. We wouldn't have had these interactions with people. We wouldn't have had the adventure. We wouldn't have seen the scenery. And not that we had the time, but False Pass was a dying icon. It was the end of an era. It was once a thriving, bustling community with boardwalks and repair shops and grocery stores and bunkhouses, and just the way it was set was absolutely spectacular. And we were the only people in town. We were the only guests in town, other than the grizzly bears.